This is Matt and Dice Round Table, and I'm gonna kind of package up my thoughts. Check out other videos in this. My wife gave her impressions on this as an interview with a non-miniature gamer. I am a miniature gamer. If you follow the YouTube channel, I'm also a board gamer, role-play gamer, and do PC games. So for me, I'm gonna come back with all this. This concept I really fell in love with when I saw it, because I love that it's a miniature game feel without the cleanup, the painting, the assembly of a miniatures game. Because this is a deck of cards I can put into the nice little box. It takes up that much space. That's it, and we're done. So for me, the space is great. The art is wonderful, especially on the newer cards, because the colors, the green's lighter. And because the green is lighter, I think everything gets to be a little bit more vibrant. And I like some of the new art compared to the old art, because it just has a different, I don't know how they've done the art this creation, if it was like computer graphics or not, but I just love the character and the stylization of it. I love the card layout because you can just track everything on the card. As far as all the special rules, the old system, I enjoyed the special rules because each army had like one thing they did, and that was it. Now, every army has multiple things it does, and trying to keep track of all of it can be a little tedious. I love the command card aspect, but I feel like a house rule I would have if I played it is you get your command points, but you either, one, get a command card every turn regardless, or you get one free command of a unit. That way you're always commanding a unit. So that would put you in perspective like, hey, the army general is near this unit, so they're giving direct orders every turn. So you get that free activation on one unit, so you can use your other two command points for something else. I'm really not into the objective playing of this, because I get the point of that and it brings a different dynamic to it. But for me, the other thing I would love to do is there's a game called Black Powder, which it has the rule element of like, I want this unit to get about here and they're going to deploy in battle line, and then I roll to see if my unit can, how many moves they get. And I would really like be able to, again, another house rule for me would be, oh, these guys are going to advance 3 times and they're going to change to hold. That way you can actually form a battle line when you have cards moving at different distances. And you have a little bit more command and control of them. Like, you're just going to be mindless and going to charge forward until end time. But being able to say, I want them to advance twice and change to hold. And it's very easy. You could just write C2. And every time they advance 1, it changes to a 1. And then it changes to a hold. And that way, it's done. You can form a battle line and have a little bit more control. Might prolong the game a little bit because the other person might be doing that same thing, but that's what the armies would do. And then it had even more reason to have the range attacks, because they would just sit there until they're out of arrows, and whoever's out of arrows first, or whoever's getting arrow hit successfully, they're going to charge, which is what happened in medieval times and ancient warfare. Like, they would meet up, and when the casualties start hitting, boom, then the charge is going to be on, not just like free for all. So a little bit more in the command element there, which would expand the rulebook and some other elements. But again, that would be something I would want to, if I was playing with my group, to expand that as an option. The dice mechanics with the 2 hit rolls, seamless, awesome. And command cards, I love the variety. There's like the same command cards, but they're called different things based on the faction, which is great because it gives the individual flavor. The rules reference cards, I love the number of rules reference cards. I love the rules reference having the red marks on there so you can use them for maneuvering. The factions we have overall, the undead, I always love the undead. I love the old undead. I love the new undead. They are never wavering, never having to worry about route checks. It's beautiful, and they feel like undead. And those Death Knights, they are so heavily armored, and you're just like, playing with them is great, but playing against them is like, okay, how many points do I need to throw at it? I gotta attack it from the rear, gotta attack it from the side. Do I invest all those points or throw something at it just to delay it? And the one game I had with my wife, I threw the goblins to distract her, and it worked. I played on her newness to this type of game and took advantage of that. If I was playing on her side, I would have just charged the Death Knights ahead and said, forget the wolves. And I would have just brought the wolves around to charge the back of the skeletons, which would have hopefully freed up the side and the Death Knights not do too much damage. The Dwarves, I would love to play the Dwarves in a different setting, not dwarf on dwarf. It was a slow march. They hit, and they're dwarves. They don't move. They're very defensive. They're very hard hitting and smashy. And dwarves against dwarves was a very slow, tedious, continual roll. We might have just been better off rolling a dice and saying who won. So playing dwarves against dwarves, very tedious. There's some differences in the faction of the dwarves, with some like old guard heavy duty dwarves that are classic, and some like spry foresty dwarves, which I like the differences, but when we played them on the table, they were like pretty close to the same. The orcs and goblins, I just love them. They're fun. You can get really crazy with the goblins who are just squishy, just so squishy. Or the orcs that actually have a really good bite, and they can give the punishment as much as they take. And playing them counter. The dwarves, the only weakness I have for the dwarves is their special rules are contingent upon terrain. If you're not playing with terrain and you're not playing with objectives, they have limitations on their special rules. Because it's depending on that fact. And so overall, though, I would say this is, if you play the computer games Total War, it is the Total War system franchise on the tabletop with cards. Because you can see the battle going like this, and as the units take damage, they're less effective, and maybe they're routing and running away and getting rallied, and they're like 1/3 of the strength, but you're fighting this wave of craziness, and because as you're fighting these waves of craziness, you just need to throw everything you got at them. If you play Total War, you get that. So yeah, so it has that great feel. Really loving everything. Again, my tweaks are for me, because I'm very in my head, seeing, I can just visualize this really well, and the command points are very restricting and limiting in this type of element. So definitely check into the game, see if that interests you, and thanks for watching.